But the cost of electricity continues to climb each year. Ramokgopa previously disclosed that prices have ballooned by 180% over the past decade. Speaking at a media briefing in Johannesburg today, the minister admitted that escalating tariffs are unfair to consumers.
Electricity is very expensive, so poor households have to make choices between a loaf of bread or buying the units, prepaid units. We're getting to a situation where industries that have got the electricity as a dominant input cost are becoming increasingly uncompetitive.
At the same time, the city of Johannesburg and Eskom have finally reached an agreement regarding the metro's outstanding debt. Eskom has confirmed that the city will settle its 3.2 billion rand debt with the power utility. The city had initially refused to pay the full amount, claiming it was overcharged by more than 800 million rand. The billing dispute nearly led to Eskom interrupting supply to the city in November of last year. Ramokgopa says the two have finally found one another.
Johannesburg City Power, they will pay the 3.2 billion rands over a period of 4 years. This is a big ticket of 3.2 billion rands. Of course, that amount has been in dispute, and City Power, I want to emphasize, and City of Johannesburg have done everything possible to maintain paying the current account, despite all these difficulties.
In KwaZulu-Natal, Action SA says it will continue launching branches across the province despite security concerns. 2 weeks ago, the party cancelled a branch launch at the Kennedy Road informal settlement after someone discharged a firearm at the event. The party says while the incident was a clear example of political intolerance, it will not be backing down. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
While he is worried about his safety, Action SA KwaZulu-Natal leader Zwagele Mngcango says they will continue launching branches in KZN. Speaking to EWN while flanked by his security, Mngcango says they will be back in Kennedy Road next month to complete the branch launch which was interrupted. However, he says for now they are headed to northern KZN.
During July, we'll launch that branch. We will never stop launching branches. As I'm talking to you today, I'm driving to Newcastle over weekend. Herman Mashaba is coming to the province. We are launching 3 branches in Newcastle with the president. We will continue launching branches all over the province. No one will scare us.
Meanwhile, the man arrested for discharging a firearm at the party event 2 weeks ago was back in the Durban Magistrates Court today. Xolani Morgan Dlamini faces charges of pointing a firearm at a crowd and discharging a firearm in a public area. The state added intimidation charges. Dlamini will return to court on the 28th of July. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
And a U.S. court has blocked President Donald Trump's international student ban on Harvard. Trump signed the proclamation after his administration had already frozen billions of dollars in funding to that institution and even threatened its tax-exempt status. The Trump administration says the proclamation was for national security purposes because Harvard was not properly vetting incoming scholars from other countries. Yesterday, Judge Alison Burroughs indefinitely blocked the ban, saying the proclamation was in violation of the university's constitutional protections. Gold is trading at $3,324.61 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 24.09 to the pound, 20.53 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $71.48 a barrel.
Waterkloof Pretoria roadworks slowing down traffic on the N1 south between Atterbury and Rigel Avenue. Otherwise, the rest of 702 Land not looking too bad. Free flowing on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Bears Naudé and the N1 North, as well as in Alex at Marlborough and Far East Bank.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at a high of 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Basic Education Department has signed a collaboration agreement with the Police Ministry to ensure safety at schools.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide.
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 1 o'clock, welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Tuesday, the 24th of June. I'm going to kick off by just wishing my dear sister who lives in Cape Town a happy, happy birthday. I love you to bits. Ore ratile, reho rata, rati, rati. That's what I'm going to kick off with, because that person is my true ride or die, the one who listens to me complain and moan about 1,000,001 things and still continues to do so. Coming up on the show today, have you ever been a fan of The Weakest Link? Well, BBC Brit will be bringing The Weakest Link. There's a new host, as was mentioned last week. But today we'll be joined by digital content creators and siblings, Tato Rampedi and Lebo Rampedi, to talk to us. Our tech feature, we're going to talk about when bullying turns to deep fake and schools being under siege. We'll be joined by Johan Steyn, human-centered AI advocate, for that conversation. I think everybody needs to tune in, not just for what happens to kids, but us as adults as well. The second hour of the show, it's our series edition together with Momentum Insure, the impact of climate change and severe weather on insurance. We're on episode 4 now, and we continue talking about the psychology behind ignoring weather warnings. We'll be joined by Dr. Kosi Gianni, who's a clinical psychologist at Human Edge, and Funeka Ngewu, who's executive head of claims support at Momentum Insure. Then we wrap up with our car feature. We'll be joined by Erica Liebenberg, Just Money spokesperson on motor plans and warranties, and we're going to talk about car repair cover advice, because sometimes you think, well, I've got a motor plan, it will fix this. Other times you think, well, I've got a warranty, it will sort this out. There's so many more details that become a part of that conversation. So get in touch with us, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
.702 Afternoon Spotlight Edition with BBC Brit. Find your happy every night. Now, The Weakest Link is back and better than ever, not the local version. It is fast-paced, high-pressure, and packed with those iconic one-liners that we all love. The new season lands on BBC Brit, DSTV channel 120 from the 2nd of July, bringing all the drama, the tough questions, and funny eliminations that made it that global favorite we all knew and loved. Now, joining us today are the dynamic Rampedi brothers, Tato and Lebo Rampedi, talented digital creators known for their high-energy content and on-trend commentary, and they're here to share what makes this show a must-watch. Tato and Lebo, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
We're good. Thank you for having us.
So good. So good.
Guys, I am so excited. I used to watch The Weakest Link, and you know when you're sitting on your couch, you can always be like, I would have got that. Girl. Do you guys do the same thing?
100%, 100%. Even screaming the
Literally all
answer
of
before
the
they
time.
answer it. Just they finish the question.
And let me guess, you guys both were getting them wrong. Eh?
One more than the other. I'll
No,
tell you
no.
that. One
Okay,
more than the other.
I need to clarify, Tato, I'm going to start with you. Between yourself and Lebo, who do you think is the weakest link?
I hate to say this, but I think it's me.
I love a
hate to say
brother
it, but I
who
think
knows
it's me.
himself. I love a brother who knows himself. Lebo, are you the weakest link or is Tato the weakest link?
I'm going to have to say definitely Tato. I'm sorry, Tato. # present brothers.
Okay. I see you guys are trying to be one with one another. Before we do a little bit of a weakest link test, I first want to find out, and I'll start with you, Tato. What was your reaction to the weakest link coming back? And for you, what's made it such an iconic quiz show?
I'm super stoked to hear that it's back. I feel like, it's a classic quiz show that everybody loves watching. There's strategy, knowledge, a bit of drama. I feel like we grew up on it, so it's like knowing that it's coming back, I'm excited to see how I'm going to receive it now that I am, developed, and I'm referring to the frontal lobe, I'm mad excited. The
Listen,
frontal lobe is developed, so I'm keen to see.
but in men, the frontal lobe, it go feta go develop haka 44.
Hey,
I hear that though.
You hear that though. Lebo, for you, what has your reaction been and excitement about the weakest link?
Oh man, I just remember a younger version of me not knowing much about history and not knowing much about trivia, but still screaming answers at the top of my voice. And now that I'm a bit older, I'm just excited to actually have a footing. His story. You know what I'm saying?
I see. Okay, and I mean, the both of you are content creators, super accomplished content creators. Tato, from your side, I mean, in terms of being on camera, answering questions during the people, compared to making content by yourself, which is the harder to do?
I think creating content by myself is definitely the harder thing to do. Like when I'm with Lebo or any of my boys, you can bounce off each other's energy. So I definitely feel like by myself it's harder. When I've got the support of my friends and my co-hosts, it's 100 times more fun.
Okay. And Lebza?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Tato. Making content by myself is definitely hard. I think when we work in collaboration, energy just is all over the place, and you get so many different characteristics from your friends that you can just absorb. And I really feel like it just redefines the content. It makes it better. It makes it HD. It makes it that's creme de la creme.
I see. Okay, so I'm gonna first start with a first round of questions, right? Just to kick us off and warm us up before we go to the ad break. And then when we come back, I'll see if one of the listeners wants to play with you guys. So the rule is simple. If you think you're the first, if you think you know the answer, you must say your name. So that is your buzzer. The buzzer is your name. After you've done your buzzer, whoever I heard first, they will get an opportunity to answer. If they get it right, they will get 1 point. If then you don't get it right and the other person gets it right, they get 2 points.
Yo.
Okay. I just set up the rules because if you are the first one, I just set up the rules. So if the person gets it wrong and then the other person gets it right, they get 2 points. And it's not supposed to be fair. It's just supposed to be fun. Are you ready for the first round?
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out how easy to make this for you guys. Okay.
Please make it easy.
You want it easy? No. First question. Who hosted the original weakest link in the UK? Tato?
Is it Anne Robertson?
Are you sure that's the answer?
Yes. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100% Yes.
Correct. You have 1 point, Tato. Lebza, you're at the bottom of the leaderboard. So I'm going to give you a moment to get your lives in order. No chat GPT allowed. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we continue with the Rampedi brothers as we talk about the weakest link on BBC Brit.
Quiet, please.
The Wimbledon experience in Mzansi is back at Amex Tennis Town Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, and more than just strawberries and cream. Buy your tickets now using your Amex card on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets. Amex Tennis Town, the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
Mzansi Ballet's finest come together in one spectacular show. Fusion of favorites, a unique and highly anticipated performance set to take place at Peter Torin's Monte Casino Theatre from the 19th to the 27th of June. The performance will also feature the world premiere of Vincent Manzwe's Song of Kudugo, Exodus, as well as new works by Angela Revi. There are only 4 shows, so you need to get your tickets now before they sell out. Secure yours at webtickets.co.za.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to We Buy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy prams that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. We Buy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
Light the fire this game day with a winning lineup from Checkers. Like Pringles chips, any 2 for 99 Rand, save 41 Rand. Knox Sparkling Hydration Drink 500 mils, any 2 for 28 Rand. And KWV 5-year-old brandy for 194.99, save 35 Rand. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest. Deals valid until 29 June. Alcohol not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
18 minutes after 1 o'clock, and you are with us on 702 Afternoons as we are talking BBC Brit, that is DSTV channel 120, bringing back the weakest link, better and bigger. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702, as we are chatting to digital content creators and brothers Tato Rampedi and Lebo Rampedi. We already started with the competition of quizzing them, and Tato is leading with 1 point after 1 round. Gents, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very happy.
You know what I love about competitiveness? It doesn't need money to be won. We don't even need a prize. You just want to know that you won. We just want to know that you won. All right, we're moving on to the next question.
Okay.
And I need it to be the full correct answer. Okay. What is the currency used in the UK?
Tato.
Tato, what's your answer?
British pounds. British sterling pounds.
Make a final decision.
So many answers.
Make a final decision.
Sterling pounds.
Incorrect. Lebu, would you like to give it a go?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not?
He's Googling
Okay,
this guy. He's Googling.
What is it, Lebu?
British pounds.
Okay, you're both wrong. The correct answer is pound sterling. Pound sterling. So you all get 0 points. I should have made this the Bantu education quiz where they -1 for during our parents' era. They would -1 for also
for
wrong.
Every doi.
Yes, for every doi you also get -1. All right, this one you guys should be able to get. Okay. Which planet is closest to the sun?
Level.
What's the
Mercury.
answer? Correct,
Mercury.
Lebo. It is 1-1.
Period.
There we go. All right, I'm going to move to another category because I feel like This was just too easy for you guys. Okay, the next question. Which global franchise did the phrase, "May the force be with you," come from?
Lebo. Star
Oh,
Wars.
I heard Lebo first. Lebo?
Star Wars.
Correct, Lebo. 2 points.
Lebo.
All right, here is another one. And the clue is that it also is coming through on BBC Brit. What show is known for featuring 3 presenters driving wild cars and doing
Lebo.
crazy challenges? Lebo?
Top Gear.
Yes! I'm having way too much fun with this. Okay, let's go back to some geography. Let's go back to some geography. What is the tallest mountain in the world?
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness.
Tato,
Go ahead, Tato.
is it Mount Everest?
You are correct. It is 2-1 with Lebo in the lead. Was that a guess?
No, I thought what, but Lebo gave me like doubt when he said, "Yo, what is?" I'm like, huh? Is there a new one? There's a new one from last year I don't know about.
All right. This is now related to the show itself.
Okay.
Finish the phrase from the show. You are the...
Tato,
Lebo.
Go ahead, Tato.
weakest link.
Are you done?
Yes, yo.
Lebo,
You are the
Lebo.
weakest link. Show me.
Nope. Lebo, go ahead.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yes, Lebo, correct. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Guys, how could you not remember Tato? What Tato? Tato, my brother's name is Tato. Don't let him down because Lebo and I are together. All right, here is another question. What is the chemical symbol for water?
Tato.
Lebo.
Yes, Tato?
H2O.
Correct. Opasite science ya grade 3. All right, let's do one more round because as it stands, Lebo, you've got 4 points. Tato, you've got 3. So either we're going to go into a tiebreaker or we're going to have a very, very clear winner. I'm nervous for the two of you. Which boy band was Harry Styles a part of?
Tato.
Lebo.
Tato was first. Tato, your answer?
One Direction.
It is a tie. Tato got the answer correct. Oh my goodness. Come on, somebody. I'm looking through at my team because I need them to give me a harder question for this upcoming round. A very, very, very hard question. All right. So the tiebreaker question, and it's going to be all things that are first come, first serve. Whoever gets it right automatically becomes the winner if you said your name first.
Whoever gets it right is the greatest trumpeti.
I love it. All right.
I'm telling Mama, Tato. I'm telling Mama.
You're going to tell on. All right. Here's the question. Who won the French Open?
Oh my God. I didn't know that. Oh my God. I don't know that.
Okay, we are moving on. The answer was Coco Gauff.
Okay.
Such an easy one. I'm going to make this one even easier. Who painted the Mona Lisa? Tato, go ahead.
Picasso?
Incorrect. Lebo, do you want to give it a go?
I'm going to guess. I'm going to say Leonardo.
Leonardo who?
Da Vinci.
Correct! Lebo is the winner with 6 points because he got 2 bonus points. So you guys were correct about who is the weakest link and who is not. Tato, that means you are the weakest link. Goodbye. So this is so... Goodbye. This is so exciting. And I just want to find out from the both of you. I mean, there are young people listening, Tato. Share with us how your tips for getting into the content creator space.
I'd say it's against the content creator space. It's a long-term game, and it requires a lot of consistency. But I think progress over perfection, like showing up every single day is something my brother and I really, really believe in. So if you can show up every day for yourself on your journey, with time it's going to come. Yeah.
All right, and Lebo, on your side, some tips for young people that want to be content creators.
Everyone's always asking, what should I start with? What type of content should I make? I think make the content that you would like to see online. I think that's a great first start. And once you start that, like Tata said, progress over perfection. Yeah.
Guys, I am so excited for this show to be coming out. Where can we follow you all on the socials? But before you even tell us, we have a voice note.
Hi, Relebogile. My name is Sunita. I took part in the South African version many, many years ago. I made it to round 6. It was quite an experience, but I was quite cross with my group because, I exited in round 6 and it was all females and one guy. And I was hoping they'd all vote for the guy, but they voted me out. But it was an experience. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Sunita, for that voice note. Guys, I completely forgot that there is the part where the host says, Tato, you look rather interesting. Orange tie. Did your mother help you get dressed today? So why did you vote for Lebo, Tato? Why should Lebo leave? And then she goes, Lebo, what is your job? What is your job, Lebo? What do you do for a living?
I
Lebo?
wouldn't particularly know.
You wouldn't particularly know. That's why everybody is voting you out. No bank, no money. You're the weakest link. Goodbye. We are tuning in and I'm so excited for it. Somebody says, Batong Lebo, please can we recruit Lebo to be a contestant every day? He is such a vibe is what they are saying. Another one says, your question as to who won the French Open, you did not ask women or men. That question was not clear. Just my observation. Oksalayo, they didn't know any of them. They didn't know men or women. They didn't. Okay, Tato, did you know who won the men's French Open?
Yes, come on.
Wabon. Who?
Uncle Opa.
I feel Lodge. It was Lodge. It was Lodge.
Guys, so it didn't matter. They didn't know any winner. Another one says, Lebo, the French Open question was vague. You didn't even mention whether you wanted the lady or the gent winner. They knew none of them, guys. We were giving them a chance two chances to have a correct answer. Gents, where could we find you on the socials? Tato?
You can find me, Tato Ramperi, everywhere. And then, of course, our group channel with our other two friends, as Majita, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
And Lebza.
Yeah, Lebo Ramperi everywhere. Even LinkedIn.
How? The professional. I absolutely love it for the both of you. Thank you so much, gents. And thank you so much for being such amazing sports. Don't forget, 2nd of July, that is next week, The Weakest Link comes through on BBC Brit. Now sit back and enjoy with Happy Time Picks, your go-to spot for the best in feel-good viewing with a twist. Brought to you by BBC Brit. From brand new series and returning favorites to underrated gems you might have missed, Happy Time Picks dives into the best of BBC Brit. Expect special guest chats, clever quizzes, and unforgettable characters that keep the good vibes going. Whether you're after laughs, drama, or something totally unexpected, BBC Brit has your next happy watch lined up. Tune in, relax, and find your next happy watch. It's 1:30 time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. The number of South Africans employed in the formal sector decreased by 74,000 in the first quarter of this year. Stats SA released the latest numbers showing the loss of jobs in comparison to the final quarter of last year. Industries such as trade, community services and mining took the hardest knock. The Basic Education Department has signed a collaboration agreement with the Police Ministry to ensure safety at schools. It follows a recent report which flagged over 200 200 schools as high risk for violence, drug abuse and bullying. In an effort to address this, Education Minister Siphiwe Kwagube and Police Minister Senzo Mchunu have launched the Safe Schools Protocol today. And Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa says tackling the rising cost of electricity remains one of his top priorities. Eskom has made progress in reducing load shedding in the country, but the cost of electricity continues to climb. Ramokgopa previously disclosed that prices have ballooned by 180% over the past decade. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Waterkloof Pretoria roadworks slowing down traffic heading towards Centurion. That's on the N1 southbound from Atterbury all the way to Rigel Avenue. Benoni, we still have slow-moving traffic. That's on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. The rest of Gauteng not looking too bad. No accidents have been reported on our highways at this stage. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights though in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Naudé and the N1 North, as well as in Alex at Marlborough Drive and Far East Bank. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. You may remember the one example of one seater that's accused of procuring 20,000 exam pads. That kind of thing we've seen too often of.
I don't think that we should use one seater.
I've got accusations against the number.
Well, I mean, if there are accusations against specific seaters, let's deal with those specifics. I think to suggest that there's been incompetent political oversight, I think it's an exaggeration.
Buti Manamela.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Winter's here and so are the season's hottest deals. Whether you're powering through early mornings or cozying up on cold nights, Takealot is your one-stop winter shop for heaters, appliances, winter skincare and everyday essentials. Shop smart, stay warm and make winter your season with Takealot.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3731. I'm really struggling to explain my parents to my therapist. Might send him to live with them so he can see for himself. What if he ends up in therapy too? Wait, what if they love him more than me?
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together, we've built progress hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is looking for a small business owner that talks a big game and delivers even bigger results. So, if you're a small business that consistently dares to innovate, expand, and better your bottom line, you could walk away with 200,000 Rand cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package. So, enter on igniteyourbusiness.co.za. Then every day this week from 6 a.m., catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa to find out if you're a finalist in Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
la khaka senwa moro mpuru faretse mmangwana o fara phapana nna ke motlana ga ke itse sepe botlhogo putso ba lekile ga retela ntshipetse tlhoka la tsela e motsopo di ana ka tsa tlholo tsela khopo seja mephato e tswile letsholo bo morwalo se le dirwa fela but this here motswako is wicked tarantella I can buy back like a tarantula listen just happy se raparese kubo ya botsetsi balela se ana marena kubo ya bogosi le bo se mamba ipala mabala nkwe bo mankge maitsana fe opela di komarukwe that is cool was by
I'm sorry, I had to. I'm sorry. Bongo Muffin, Tati's Gupu. This is for the youth of yesteryear, the youth of before, the youth like me. We're no longer youth. But that song was just a little something for us. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We've got the tech feature coming up.
702 Tech Feature.
20 minutes to 2 o'clock in our tech feature for today. We're going to talk about deep fakes, but not just deep fakes. When deep fakes are used to bully in schools, particularly with young people. We're joined by Johan Steyn, human-centered AI advocate. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Johan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Johan, let's kick off by reminding everybody what a deep fake is and why it is so amazing for the advancement of technology before we look at the bad stuff.
Yeah, it's like all kinds of things around tech. There's so much good we can do and so much evil. It's a tool in our hands. Now, deep fake is when I use your image, or your voice, or a video of you, and I copy it into another format. Or, for instance, I can put my face on an Elon Musk, and it looks like he's saying what I would have said. It's a lot of fun to play with. It's not new. In the past, you could clearly see it's a deep fake because maybe the shadow on my nose is in a different direction than the rest of my body. But these days, these free tools are so powerful that I can make a video of you where you say stuff you never would have said, and there's no way to know whether it's actually you or not. So even our courts are struggling with this. How do we prove in court that you did threaten me, but it's not really you? That's essentially what deepfakes are. So visuals and voice and other medium as well.
Are there any scenarios where these can be used positively? For example, you have brands that instead of spending money on real people, they can create an AI version that becomes their brand ambassador, their advertiser, and all of those things where it's not trying to imitate another person.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can create an avatar, a digital avatar that looks human. It doesn't have to look like a Pixar movie. And that is your brand ambassador. And remember, they're available 24/7. They don't go and leave. They don't join unions. You can use them in all your advertising campaigns. So that is one of the many examples where this technology can work positively. The other one is training. I create a lot of avatar training videos for kids and for some of my customers of myself or of an image that I've just created. And I prompt it, and I give it the right data, and it reads it in a Zulu or a Xhosa. And it's amazing. So I think training and education is the other area where this technology, if we use it responsibly, can be hugely beneficial.
Okay, so now let's look at what is currently happening when it comes to bullying, because there was a time, and I think there was a case I was following in the US. It was a young boy who took his own life after the scam artists that were literally flown in from Nigeria by the FBI to face the consequences. But in essence, they pretend to be someone else online, and then they convince this young person to send inappropriate, explicit photos of themselves. Then they start blackmailing them to say, if you don't, we are going to leak these photos, and then you must send us money. But in essence, this child took their own life. Now, they no longer even have to do that. They can just make the things up and say it was you.
Exactly. Young people normally have issues around their body. They go through a strange period around puberty, etc., especially for young girls. And we can see a lot of joking around and, bullying really, is to take a picture of that girl that sits next to you in class and to make her look much fatter than she is, or pimples on the face, and really just joke around. And, that's not what school kids do. And we've done it, sadly, years ago with this on the blackboard without AI.
Yep.
But now the impact on that young girl or that young boy, that young person, and this is not even pornography, which we need to get to because that is shocking, but to make you look and say things that you never would have done, and it looks exactly real. And now you start spreading it through the school, everyone's on WhatsApp, and especially when there's really dangerous when it comes to sexual acts, or saying things about the headmaster, or racist things that you never would have done. The impact on that young child and their psychological well-being is horrible. And that's the danger of this technology. These apps are free. Anyone can use it. You don't need to be a computer expert, and that's what makes it so dangerous.
Are there things that maybe you can advise we look out for to see if something is AI? I would say 98% of the time can tell. For example, I can see when the speaking is not in sync with the person's mouth movements. In videos, in images, you can see it. You know who they're trying to imitate, but you can see it's not them. What are some of the things you can share with us? Because I'm so worried for our parents' generation just believing anything and everything that is forwarded to them on WhatsApp.
Look, sadly, the technology is now so powerful that lip syncing, that shade on the face, that expressions, that tone of voice is so accurately duplicated that it is virtually impossible to pick up if something is a deep fake or not. One of the best principles is to educate your kids, to use common sense. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Like if it's looking like somebody or a TV personality, or a Tom Cruise, or Elon Musk selling this new wonderful insurance policy. If it just sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So sadly, we can't pick up whether it's fake or not. We need our children to know from a common sense point of view, and having the confidence to ask us or their parents around it. because, they grow up in this world where that this is just part of their lives. You and I, we still had faxes, I'm sure, when we grew up. So it really is education. But sadly, I'm not aware of any tools that can accurately pick up if something is deep fake, because it is so accurate.
We're going to take a break, Johan. When we come back, we take some of your questions on deep fakes and the use of AI to bully peers and children at school. I mean, it also will reach the point where it's happening to adults and not just public figures as well. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
Was the plan wrong, or did they choose the wrong method? How could this have been done better? Sounds like the worst of both worlds, because the intentions presumably on both sides were good ones. There was a desire to act against some of those poisons that were finding their way into the system.
What we would have seen from CropLife SA side was a much more involved process where the state engaged all the stakeholders, not only the pesticide sector, but also then the agriculture sector.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Momentum Insure brings you the Heads Up Weather Series, real stories of how South Africans deal with wild weather. From floods to snowstorms, we often laugh through the chaos, but the truth is extreme weather is becoming more serious, causing real damage to homes, roads, and lives. Join the conversation on Momentum Insure's social channels and learn how you are footing the bill for climate change. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is a non-life insurer and an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
Nix Maapa. We say that when something's too delicious to share, but at Pesto Princess, sharing is delicious. When you buy a 600-gram Pesto Princess soup at Spa, you'll get up to 10 Rand off this month, and we'll donate a meal to a child in need. With over 850,000 Rand in meals already donated through our partnership with Ladles of Love, we're aiming for 1 million Rand in donations this winter with your support. So go on, nourish, comfort and delight with Pesto Princess this June, only at Spa.
Volksfest deals are back. Get a free upgrade to the Polo Vivo Life when you buy a new Polo Vivo and pay 0% deposit. Get more features at no extra cost. Buy it now and only pay 3 months later. Offer valid only through Volkswagen Financial Services. Looking for something sportier? The stylish T-Cross is yours from just 399,900 Rand. These Volksfest deals won't last. Visit your nearest dealer today or visit vw.co.za.
702.
Tech Feature.
10 minutes to 2 o'clock, we continue in our tech feature for today as we talk about bullying using deep fake and why this is a massive challenge in schools. And we are joined by Johan Steyn, human-centered AI advocate. And we take your calls with your questions and comments on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Johan, from your experience, have you seen any deep fake cases yet reach the courts where precedents have been set already?
It's a great question, and I have read about it, especially in the US. Whether it is creating precedents, I'm not sure, because I think we're still trying to find our feet here. And how do we prove if that deep fake, look, if it is child pornography or a minor being naked, that is already illegal. But how do you prove whether that's a deep fake or that actual person? So I think the case law around a lot of these AI conversations is still maturing. I think, and look, about 98% of deep fakes are pornographic. And the topic that you and I are speaking about now is a scourge in the US at the moment, especially the creation of pornographic videos and images on young girls without their consent and being spread around or sent to the parents to get money out of them. So, and I think in the EU we are also seeing some of this. The prosecuting it and proving who did what is where I think the courts are struggling. But we have to very quickly improve our way of defining and prosecuting these kind of crimes, because it will only get better at doing what is bad, if you would.
So if then that is the case, and maybe you can help clarify, which is the part from either a legal or just a general consensus perspective that makes it illegal? In the sense that if I take a child's face and depict them nude or in explicit circumstances, because, like, does that fall under pornography, and does that fall under, like, what does that fall under? Because it's not a real image of them, but it still portrays them. I just want to get clarity if it all falls under basically the same jurisdiction as what it would be if it was a real photo of them.
Yeah. Look, so, and again, this is where we are grappling with what to do, because if you take my real picture, so it's not a deep fake, strictly speaking, you can't use it in any way without consent. My consent. Now, the problem also is we have thousands of images of ourselves online and on social media, especially youngsters, thousands and thousands of pictures. We don't even know where those pictures are going, what it's being used for, by whom, etc. So one argument could be the fact that I put that picture online means that in theory I'm giving consent, because you can copy and paste it. It's what you use it for. But now the more images you have of me, the better deepfake you can create. And I guess it comes down to the harm that you're causing, not just consent, but what are you using my image for? Now, just on this topic, in South Africa, as far as I know, we don't have any regulation around the creative arts. I mean, if you're an actor or a voiceover artist, you have no control over the publication company or the TV station reusing your image without compensation. It's a big problem. But now when it comes to children, for us, I did not give you consent to use my image. But again, the question is, because I WhatsApp you my photo, or it's a profile picture on WhatsApp or email, doesn't that mean you can just use it? I think a legal expert would give more advice. I can give you more insights about the technology behind this. But I think law and legal institutions across the world is grappling with this, and it's coming hard and fast. We don't have time to figure this out for too long, I think.
And I think at some point, especially when it comes to the law, it's around many technicalities. So if somebody, excuse me, is to be successfully convicted of a crime, there will have to be certain boxes that are ticked from the legal perspective and from the tech perspective, because I'm not even sure if intention comes into play. If, let's say, a public figure has their photos all over the internet that they've posted themselves on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, and all of that is used to create deep fakes that alter, that would in essence damage my reputation without even it needing to be explicit content. I would assume that there is a bit of legal room for that person to go and take it to the courts. But I also look at what happened to Taylor Swift. I saw a deep fake image of her circulating. It was extremely explicit. I would even go as far as saying it was explicit and violent at the same time. And everybody knew that is supposed to be depicting Taylor Swift, but nothing was done about it after the fact.
Well, it did give a lot of exposure to this topic. The question is to trace the person or persons that created that image. Now, I mean, it's one thing to sue the New York Times because they used your image without permission, and maybe the reputational damage is there. But this is somebody in their underpants in a garage doing this, you know. You don't even, from the school context point of view, who is the originator of that image? I think tracking that down, even though it's being spread, is a challenge. Now, you might say those who are re-spreading it is also culpable, probably. But who is the one person or the group of persons that created that image? It's almost impossible to track that down. It's an anonymous world of criminals doing this, really.
I mean, I would even go as far as saying, because in my mind, if we're going to use let's use child pornography as the measure, everybody who shares is also liable in some way.
Absolutely. But how do we even track who's shared it? Unless we have a cache of pictures in somebody's study and the police bust in there, Digitally, we can to some extent track it, but I mean, these things are spread over thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are resharing it. And to actually find out who to prosecute for what, I think is a real head scratcher for the law. Let's start with the people who created it and started spreading it, but again, to find them from a digital footprint point of view can sometimes be almost impossible. So this is, we need a big debate on this topic and what we're going to do also from a South African law point of view, not just precedent, but how do we prove and prosecute? I think it's almost impossible. And as a parent, this is giving me nightmares when I think about it.
My goodness, Johan, I'm sure we will be chatting again, because then the next step is how do schools become educated and equipped to deal with these type of situations. Johan Steyn, thank you for joining us on our Tech Feature.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
After her last appearance before the committee last month, the DA reported Minister Relebogile Mabotja to Parliament's Ethics Committee. But Chairperson of the Higher Education Portfolio Committee, Tebogo Letsie, says more information is still awaited from the CETA advisory panel and from Mabotja herself before she can be accused of misconduct.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Great things happen when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 59 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Play Powerball for an estimated 36 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 23 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
It's a tough day for Mark. Tight deadlines and challenges everywhere. But Mark can rest easy, because when he bought his Hino 700 2845 truck tractor, he received a complimentary service plan covering up to 210,000 kilometers for short haul and up to 280,000 kilometers for long haul. Nice one, Mark. Visit your dealer today to find out more about this limited time offer. Hino, all the way. T's and C's apply.
Relebogile is on X at Relebogile M.
In the next hour of the show, we are doing our series edition with Momentum Insurance, episode 4. Tune in, and our car feature as well. Car repair cover advice. Get your questions in early. It's 2:00.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Lamini. One person has been killed and 4 others injured while working on a construction site at a shopping mall in Springfield Park in Durban in KZN. The incident occurred this morning while the men were working on scaffolding, which is understood to have collapsed. Emergency services were called to the scene where the construction worker was declared dead. ALS paramedics spokesperson Gareth Jameson.
We can confirm that one person has passed away on scene, a male approximately 40 years of age, and another 4 have sustained various injuries from moderate to critical and are currently being transported to the Amarakali Private Hospital for the further care that they urgently require.
An investigation has been opened into the incident. The Basic Education Department has signed a collaboration agreement with the Police Ministry to ensure safety at schools. It follows a recent report which flagged over 200 schools as high risk for violence, drug abuse as well as bullying. In an effort to address this, Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube and Police Minister Senzo Mchunu have launched the Safe Schools Protocol today. The protocol aims to tackle the violence while emphasizing shared responsibility and integrating various stakeholders into the safety ecosystem. Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says officers are ready to put the plan into action.
A police or police officials
linked to each and every school in the country. Of course, prioritizing the 283 schools that we have seen that they are located in areas where there are quite a number of crimes that have happened, as the minister have indicated. So we will make sure that there are also school safety committees.
The number of South Africans employed in the formal sector decreased by 74,000 in the first quarter of this year. Stats SA released the latest figures showing the loss in jobs in comparison to the final quarter of last year. Industries such as trade, community services and mining took the hardest knock. Khomotso Modise has more.
52,000 jobs were lost in the trade industry, accounting for 70% of job losses. Community services and mining were also casualties in the first quarter of this year, staving off 17,000 and 4,000 jobs respectively. Manufacturing is the only industry seemingly on the up, recording a slight hike of 2,000 jobs in the first quarter of this year. But a bleaker picture is painted by the results year on year, with latest stats showing that the South African economy recorded 95,000 less jobs this year than in the same period in 2024. 40,000 of those jobs were full-time posts. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa says tackling the rising cost of electricity remains one of his top priorities. Eskom has made progress in reducing load shedding, but the cost of electricity continues to climb each year. Ramokgopa previously disclosed that prices have ballooned by 180% over the past decade. Speaking at a media briefing in Johannesburg today, the minister admitted that escalating tariffs are unfair to consumers.
Electricity is very expensive, so poor households have to make choices between a loaf of bread or buying the units, prepaid units. We're getting to a situation where industries that have got the electricity as a dominant input cost are becoming increasingly uncompetitive.
And a U.S. court has blocked President Donald Trump's international student ban on Harvard. Trump signed the proclamation after his administration had already frozen billions of dollars in funding to the institution. The Trump administration says the proclamation was for national security purposes because Harvard was not properly vetting incoming scholars. Yesterday, Judge Alison Burroughs indefinitely blocked that ban, saying the proclamation was in violation of the university's constitutional protections. Gold is trading at $3,324.61 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 24.09 to the pound, 20.53 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $71.48 a barrel.
In Waterkloof, roadworks slowing down traffic on the N1 south of between Atterbury and Rigel Avenue. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Midrand area. This is N1 southbound between New Road and Allendale, and look out for those faulty traffic lights in Alex at Marlborough and Far East Bank.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of 21 degrees. The top story in EWN, one person has been killed and 4 others injured while working on a construction site at a shopping mall in Springfield Park in Durban.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your voice.
Your station. 702.
We are listening to you. You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live. Streaming countrywide.
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM.
6 minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. We'll be jumping into episode 4 on our series edition with Momentum Insure, talking about the impact of climate change and severe weather on insurance. And today we are continuing talking about the psychology behind ignoring weather warnings. And we'll be joined by Dr. Kosi Gianni, who's a clinical psychologist from Human Edge. Then we'll have our car feature, and we're going to talk about car repair cover advice. We'll be joined by Erica Liebenberg, Just Money spokesperson on motor plans and warranties. So get in touch with us. Give us a call, 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Series Edition.
This series edition with me, Relebogile Mabotja, is brought to you by Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. And today, because severe weather is becoming more frequent and intense, and yet many South Africans still ignore official warnings, Momentum Insure is on a mission to change that. With safety at the heart of its brand, Momentum Insure is urging consumers to take weather alerts seriously, not only for their well-being, but to protect their pockets as well. So to help unpack the psychology behind why people sometimes ignore warnings and what we can do to change that, we're joined by Dr. Kosi Gianni, clinical psychologist from Human Edge. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
So let's kick off with just trying to understand around weather issues and how we as South Africans usually process the warnings.
I generally, jokingly kind of say, I've finally come to understand, I think, given the way in which, at least in my point of view, having observed over the years how weather patterns have changed. We used to know it's 4 seasons. We knew what happens when. Everything was sort of predictable, and we knew how to plan our functions, our ceremonies, our events around knowing what to expect around when. And I've said lately I've come to understand why they use the word weather, because it actually stands for we don't know whether it's going to be this or that anymore.
I never thought of it that way. I like that, yes.
And the weather is taking us by storm all the time. It always changes. But as human beings, we like, on the one hand, predictability, because it enables us to plan. It enables us to run our lives, to schedule our things, and to know what's going to happen. And therefore, what we are seeing on the outside world, and I always make the distinction between the fact that we all live in one earth, and yet we all live in our worlds, which are subjective. The earth is objective, whereas the world is subjective. It's the world we create for ourselves. And very often there is a mismatch and a misalignment between what we believe and what we would like, the weather to look like. And we then will proceed based on what we would like more than what the predicted reality is likely to be. Because there is a social world. We anticipate being in the presence and company of people and the warmth that comes with that, and how for many of us, because life is so busy, events like weddings and funerals have become more than just about the burial. It is places where we connect and reconnect with people that we don't know, people that we don't often see or talk about. And it is the common experience that, now this is where we meet. We hardly have the time to socialize otherwise. And therefore, these become more than just the events for themselves, for the purpose, the intended purpose. They are more a social space. And therefore, we are more likely, even though the weather looks a bit under the weather, we are more likely to be dismissive or to try to negotiate ourselves into going than not going, because there's so much more at stake socially than the actually intended event itself.
I'm wondering around just language. I think sometimes as South Africans, we are very exaggerated in how we describe certain things, instead of saying, yo, I'm having a tough day, we'll be like, I'm depressed, I'm so depro. And I'm wondering if when weather warnings come out, if we don't read them or adhere to them from a technical, scientific perspective, but we see them from the perspective of we are just dramatic as a people, as South Africans.
That is certainly a part of it. I think the other thing is that, the weather is very unpredictable because you may watch the weather report. It will say Johannesburg, this. It gives you percentages. There's those technicalities. It gives you percentages. And it will say in North Riding, it's become closer and closer these days where you can see the location, but it still gives you percentages. And what does percentage mean? There's a possibility of it happening or not. And we often will hear that even in the same North Riding, it rained on this side, but no, not on my side. So we never really know exactly. And so we kind of will take our chances and hope that we are on the right side. What do we generally do? You're going to step outside and look and say, I don't think that is going to happen on this side. So therefore, I'm likely to give myself permission to undermine, undervalue, and diminish the possibility that it may turn out the way that it was predicted. And we sort of think, I'll be lucky. We give ourselves permission to think that way rather than to think of the opposite, because then we have to review our plans and we'd rather take the risk in the opposite.
I think even you touching on the fact that our weather patterns are changing so much with the climate change and just from extreme heat to your extreme cold where people have lost their lives. Do you ever recall receiving a warning where you did change your plans with weather? Because I was trying to think for myself, even when I would see, okay, this is happening on this weekend, it might rain and I've got my son's birthday party outside and we don't have a rain plan. And then you're like, we're going to pray. And then we pray. And then there wasn't rain. And we're like, you see?
Yeah.
It all worked out.
God on our favor.
Right.
Right. Yeah. The God that favors some and not others. I think for me, I am winter phobic. I have been winter phobic all my life. So the weather does determine, the winter weather, let me put it that way. The winter weather does determine whether I do go to a funeral or not. And it is a price I am willing to pay. I know there's social frown.
I love how you say that.
I prepare myself. I know my mother is not going to approve, and I'm going to have a conversation with her about the fact that where were you? Why were you not there? It was cold. For me, it was cold.
That's reason enough.
It's reason enough.
And
exactly.
you think there's people that love winter.
I know. Aren't we just such a riot as human beings? And it's beautiful because for me, when we try to understand the strangeness, like hear people saying, oh, I love winter, but in winter you can dress up. But that's besides the point. The point is that it's still cold. People are miserable. You see people walking like robots. Everybody's on the move. I just can never make sense of that. And yet, summer, all I need to do is to look outside and I smile. It gives me joy. It does, nothing else needs to happen. That is enough for me to be happy. And so we all, find our places in between that, and therefore the sorts of accommodations that we are willing to make in order to, get that fix of a day out, a place with, and so on, reconnecting with people and so on. And I think we put the social above the technical of the weather. And we've made plans with you, So how am I now going to tell Relebogile ukuthi, sorry, I'm not going to show up? Then what's going to happen to me? So I'm going to be the party pooper and so there's the whole stigma that's attached to it. There's there's a cultural frown to certain things. There's, backlash, there's judgment, there's criticism. There's people, and especially certain events more than others, there's a sense in which there's an ubuntu, to making the sacrifice, to be there in spite the adverse weather and other circumstances. People will be sniffling and fluish and be like, I'll just go there for a few minutes just to show head, just to show face, that people can see you, and you might the social register and you're approved as a decent member of society. And when you don't, there's all sorts of comments and whispers and judgments, and people would rather, risk the opposite than the social frown. Because I remember growing up, you would always hear that if you don't go to people's funerals, people don't go to your funeral. And
as if we're going to be there awake saying, why didn't you come?
As if the funeral will not proceed without you. Like it will go on, with or without you, it will go on. So, yeah, I guess we are human beings. We are creatures of habit. We are socialized in certain ways. And it becomes very much harder for us to negotiate the external reality. We'd rather believe our own internal reality. And it's that confirmation bias in which we negotiate ourselves out of the lived reality and rather negotiate ourselves into our own subjective reality, because that's easier to live with. Perhaps, and we can always say, I thought it would be, but what am I going to do? We can kind of make sense of it in that way and forgive ourselves for the stupidity of not watching the weather or heeding the weather warnings that we have seen.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we continue. Any questions you may have for Dr. Kgosi Jiyane around the psychology of severe weather warnings, 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Why are we so bad at educating our population? It seems that our whole education system is a mess. A country that spends up to 21% of its GDP on education is doing so badly in educating its population. We have people in our country who are credentialized. I've said this so many times. We have a piece of paper that says they passed an exam but are unable to apply whatever it is that they have learned. Some argue that it is because education has been politicized. That worried me.
Aubrey Masango,
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Need the right tools to run your small business? With Nedbank, you get the latest Visa, MasterCard and Amex accepting card payment device delivered to you within 48 hours. Enjoy getting your payments straight into your Nedbank account on the same day. Plus, you could get 100% back on the purchase price of the device. Apply on the Nedbank Money app today. Join the bank that's best for your small business. Nedbank, licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together we've built progress, hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Checkers XXL Savings is on with the XXL Jackpot competition. The more SA swipes, the bigger the prize. Plus, save on Jungle Oats 1 kg or Instant Oats 750 grams, any 3 for 99 Rand. And Jacob's Kroning or Gold Instant Coffee 200 or 230 grams for 139.99. Remember, simply buy any 3 participating products, swipe your extra savings card and get a scratch card to enter the competition. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
702.
Series Edition.
20 minutes after 2 o'clock, we continue with our series edition together with Momentum Insure, and we are chatting about the impact of climate change and severe weather on insurance. In episode 4, we're covering the psychology behind ignoring weather warnings. Don't worry if you've missed episodes 1 to 3. You can go to primemediaplus.com to catch up on all of those or download the Prime Media Plus app. And we are chatting to Dr. Kgosi Jiyane, clinical psychologist from Human Edge around this. We take your calls with your questions and comments on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Doctor, just in terms of the shifting of the mindset into the reality we are living today, not just for those that are listening, but those that need to go now take that message to their elders and translate maybe into their home languages? How do we get that message to land that we need to take these things seriously because there are financial implications to all of this, but not just that. There are insurances and all of these things that cover, but it is conditional on certain circumstances being the case.
Yeah, you're raising a very important point, and I think that's the reason why Momentum Insure has taken this initiative to make sure that we actually reach people proactively and get to change our relationship and our understanding of the weather. The weather isn't just the weather. The weather has implications for your pocket. And to your point, even though you may be covered for adverse weather conditions and so on, there are things you will not be able to recover. There are things that you cannot translate into money. There are things that you will lose, which if you had just understood and taken the necessary precautions, could have put you in a different and a much safer perspective and around your valuables as well as memories that you will not recover. I think we need. One of the things we don't do is we don't talk enough about things that really matter. We don't talk about the implications of weather and how it can put us as families in situations that would have serious financial, social, psychological, emotional consequences for all. And I think even though we see it, in the news and so on, recent floods and the devastation that has come with that, we still kind of don't take ourselves seriously enough to see that we in some ways are in some form of denial. Just like we were with COVID, it was something that's distant until it was really a doorstep away. And that's when we take precautions, and very often it's too late. And I think we have to take those of us that can understand the intricacies of the technicalities of what it means, have a responsibility to make sure that we take care not only of ourselves, but of the ones that we know would not read things in the way that we do and the way that they need to. And therefore make the effort of making sure that you reach out to significant others. We have these family platforms and we use them to joke and share all these memes and so on. Let's use them meaningfully to say, how do I understand a situation that's happening on my side of the world, and make sure that we share those. And we often say, for example, in my family, if there's a campaign, a health campaign, for example, make sure that abogogo nabomkhulu go for these, things that are now happening, and make sure that everybody passes it on to somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. We have a responsibility to look after each other. And those of us that are more, aligned with what's happening on social media, in the news and so on, have a responsibility to inform and guide and support and make sure that others also are in the loop of information and taking the necessary precautions. Because it's going to come back to us anyway.
Yes, definitely. I like that you mentioned COVID. Because every single time there's something new and serious, I mean, I even remember back when HIV was not as controlled as it is now, or as well managed rather, where you're hearing the messaging. I was hearing the messaging as a child until now. You're like, oh, you find out that uncle died due to AIDS-related blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Now it's almost like it only lands because you saw it for yourself. Yeah. And the COVID one as well, many people were not necessarily taking the social distancing, all the rules that seriously, and maybe because we needed to joke to get through what we needed to. It was about baking banana bread, the pineapple, this, until people now are like, Bani died. Yeah. Not only did they die, we couldn't even go and bury them properly. Yeah. Only then I almost think people started to say. So what do you think needs to happen for outside of a person experiencing firsthand? What else do you think can or should happen for everybody to get and understand the message clearly?
the complexity of human beings is that human beings are the most complex piece of equipment ever invented. Somehow we rather want to learn. Yes, no. In isiZulu, there's an expression that says, "Isuka muva likholwa izagila." We want to wait until it is literally on your head, when the thunder is on your head before we take necessary action. And I think information is power. It is what we do with that information. And somebody may, again, just like we did with COVID, somebody may take something lightly. But say, for example, between you and I, if you take it lightly, I need to make sure that because I care about what happens to you, if not for your sake, then for my sake, that I make sure that I reach out to you. I make sure that I not just inform you, but we move that conversation to action rather than just conveying a message. But let's move that conversation to actions, because it is actions that are going to actually result in different consequences for one person than another. So it's not a nice to have conversation. It is about that we are each other's keepers. We have a responsibility to be each other's keepers. If not for your own sake, then for my sake, because what happens to you is going to affect me. I'm going to take it personally, and I'm not going to respect your disrespect of the warnings that are being offered around, whether because the consequences will come back to me and I'd rather not, and be proactive about that.
What you just said made me think about the drinking and driving, where like you end up taking responsibility for other people because you know how it's going to impact you. So the people that go out of their way, like hiding car keys and things like that to protect, we almost have to use the same kind of methodology. Final thoughts, Doctor, as we wrap up?
Well, I think we are living in a time of unprecedented change. This is one of the things I heard recently that just like was such a mind warp for me, where they say this is the most unprecedented change that human beings have experienced, and yet it is the slowest it will ever be. And so I think let's get the message, let's get with the program, let's really think thoroughly about, it's not just a nice to have to heed the weather. Watch the weather report, take the necessary actions, because the consequences will what's the English?
They will far outweigh.
There you go. They will far outweigh what we think we may need to deal with. And so, and the unfortunate thing is that you will kick yourself and you will never be able to live with the fact that you could have done something, but just out of sheer negligence decided not to, and find yourself on the adverse side of something that you could have done something about.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time and coming to chat to us about such an important matter. And it's been quite a ride walking this journey with Momentum Insure. Now, Momentum Insure, the Heads Up Weather Series, a look at how South Africans navigate unpredictable weather. One moment it's sunny, the next, it's your levels of chaos, but beyond the humor lies risk to our homes, roads, and safety. Let's stop ignoring those alerts. Join the conversation on Momentum Insure's social channels and learn how you are footing the bill for climate change. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is a non-life insurer and an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply. It's 2:30 time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. Officials in the Eastern Cape have warned that the death toll following devastating floods in that region may rise even further. It comes as search and recovery operations continue, with several people still missing. The death toll has risen to 101, with more bodies recovered today. One person has been killed and 4 others injured while working on a construction site at a shopping mall in Springfield Park in Durban today. That incident occurred this morning while the men were working on scaffolding, which then collapsed. Emergency services were called to the scene, where the construction worker was then declared dead. And Eskom has written off 830 million rand of the city of Joburg's massive debt, leaving an outstanding balance of 3.2 billion rand. The city and the power utility announced today that they have now reached an agreement on how the remaining money will be paid. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In the city of Tshwane, roadworks in Waterkloof are causing heavy delays on the N1 southbound from Atterbury all the way to Rigel Avenue. Also in Constantia Park, accident scene. That's approaching the intersection of Solomon Mahlangu and Garsfontein Road, slowing down traffic. Midrand traffic remains sluggish heading into Sandton on the N1 southbound between Olifantsfontein Road and New Road. There's also faulty traffic lights. That's in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nordia and the N1 North, as well as in Randburg at Malibongo Drive and CR Swart. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
Hi, 702 listeners. My name is Paco from Kalinan. The one thing that I love about 702 is Bongani Bingwa.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Winter's here, and so are the season's hottest deals. Whether you're powering through early mornings or cozying up on cold nights, Takealot is your one-stop winter shop for heaters, appliances, winter skincare, and everyday essentials. Shop smart, stay warm, and make winter your season with Takealot.
Calling all football fans. Score goals galore with Hollywood bets in a super football showdown. The finest clubs in the world will go head-to-head to be crowned the best of the best. Ready for your chance to strike it big? Get in on the thrilling action and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash or betting vouchers. Bet 10 Rand or more on any club World Cup fixture between June and July 2025. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
It all starts with FNB Private. With secure, easy payments for a hassle-free overseas holiday. Tap, swipe, or go digital with your FNB Visa cards. Earn rewards when using your FNB credit card or global account debit and virtual card. You can even fund your global account on the FNB app while traveling. Make the most of every moment. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. How are you?
I am doing well as well. What's coming up on your show today?
So, it's 30 years today since South Africa won the World Cup for the first time.
Wow.
So we'll talk to one of the players, a key member of the team, Kobus Wiese, one of two locks in a great pack of Springbok forwards. Talk about his memories and how the last 30 years have been for him. That interview coming up at 10 minutes to 4.
So you're not talking to Matt Damon?
No. We don't speak anymore, mathematics. I don't know why.
Okay, just checking.
I must find out who played Kobus Wiese in the movie, actually.
Right?
Maybe we should get that actor.
There we go.
Yeah, no. I think The Real's a pretty good movie, actually. Not
right?
bad. Yeah,
very
liked
good
it
movie.
Enough. But not as good as The Real Thing, which was still one of my favorite memories. So, yeah, 10 to 4 we'll do that. And, of course, we'd love listeners to share their own memories. There's a lot to talk about there. Mongezi Koko, on a much sadder note, down in the Eastern Cape again, the search for bodies continues. More bad weather on the way. Get an update from him at 3:20. Unemployed young doctors protesting today in KZN. We'll try and get a national overview on the unemployment situation of recent graduates, those who finished their community service. New plan announced for school safety, greater safety in schools from violence, from bullying, and a whole lot of things related to that. We'll talk about that at 10 minutes past 5. And all the other stuff that we ordinarily do, we're going to be asking people, what have you learned about your ancestors that has surprised you?
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. I love that. I learned that on both sides of my family, there is royal blood.
Okay.
On both sides. And I've still not gone the full throttle connecting all of the dots accurately. But I've been aware of it for a while, and not just royal blood, also gifted people, as in on my mother's side of the family, people who are gifted with certain knowingness, not like traditional healer gifted, but in sort of the realm of being gifted and seeing things beyond just what we see.
Great.
So yeah, that was quite surprising. I probably have been a little bit lazy on that front of actually trying to get all the details. But yeah, that is so fascinating. I love that.
Good. When you say you've been lazy, Relebogile, you have not been sitting around doing nothing from the little bit I know about you. The moment for it will come, I'm sure.
It shall. John Perlman hosting 702 Drive. That is a beautiful discussion they'll be having from 3 to 6 p.m.
702.
The car feature.
23 minutes to 3 o'clock, time for the car feature. And today we are talking about quite a big one, and that is car repair cover. All the things you need to know. Sometimes we confuse what warranties and motor plans do and don't do. And I've been in those situations where I'm sending my car to get fixed and I'm like, why was this not covered? My car's still quite new. And then they're like, no, this one falls under this and this is excluded, and today is the day for you to get all your questions in for our guest for today, who is Erica Liebenberg, Just Money spokesperson on motor plans and warranties. And we take your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Erica, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Lebo. It's great to join you this afternoon.
Okay, Erica, let's start with the absolute basics when it comes to car repair cover. What is currently on the market in terms of the various options that don't require a person to fork out cash? What has been quoted to them?
Okay, there are a few options available, and it's a good question because there's often a lot of confusion around them. So basically there's a motor plan, which kind of has two components or offerings, and then there's a motor warranty. A motor plan helps you to cover the cost of keeping your car in good running condition. So that might include a service plan or a maintenance plan or both of them. A service plan, as its name suggests, that covers the cost of routine servicing according to the manufacturer's schedule. So if you have a 15,000 or a 40,000 or a 50,000 kilometre service coming up, a service plan is what would cover those. And if you're going with genuine, like let's say you've got a Toyota and you're going to a Toyota dealership that is registered and enabled and authorized to make those services, that can cost you a pretty packet. A lot of folk opt to not necessarily go to authentic dealerships, especially once their original service plan that came with the vehicle runs out, if you like, because it's a little bit cheaper often to not go to and use genuine Toyota parts. Let's say they're called aftermarket parts, the non-genuine parts. But so you've got the service plan that would cover your routine servicing, which would include your labor and your brakes. And then you've got a maintenance plan. And that actually includes everything that you would have in a service plan, plus the replacement of parts that wear out over time, like brake pads or clutches, batteries, those kinds of things, along with mechanical and electrical failure. So that's quite a comprehensive plan. And then the other thing that your car may already have in place, which is different, is a motor warranty, which is also called a factory or manufacturer warranty. And that is kind of similar to what would apply, for example, if you purchased an electrical appliance. So if it's automatically included with a new vehicle, and it usually lasts for a fixed period, it might be 3 to 5 years or up to a certain mileage like 100,000 kilometres or 120,000 kilometres. And that will cover any unexpected mechanical or electrical failures in key components like your engine or gearbox, or if a part suddenly fails due to a manufacturing fault. So it didn't wear out, it wasn't wear and tear, but it was a manufacturing fault. If a part wears out over time, it won't be covered by a warranty. That's where your maintenance plan would kick in.
Okay, and it's quite a lot because you can also get extended warranty. How does that work? Is it just continuing from when the vehicle's original warranty was in place? You basically extend the period that it covers or the kilometers?
It can include what was originally covered and be an extension of what came with the new vehicle, or it can cover slightly different things, and it's still called an extended warranty. It just basically means, your vehicle is out of the warranty period and you have the opportunity to purchase a further period where it's covered for mechanical and electrical failures beyond that original warranty period. And you can get that from the vehicle manufacturer, dealership, or a third-party provider. So there are other providers that are offering that. But the crucial thing is to check what's included, because some plans exclude high-cost items or wear and tear. Wear and tear is usually excluded anyway from a warranty, but do check the fine print. It's called an extended warranty, but that can be a little bit deceptive because it may not necessarily cover what your original warranty did. So very, very careful to check that. You can also buy an extended, if you like, service or maintenance plan. So your vehicle may well have come with a service or maintenance plan, especially if you got it from a dealership, even if it was secondhand. Quite often dealerships will include a service or maintenance plan for a limited period of time. But you can purchase additionally to that, and that can really help you to budget, because you noted earlier, these routine services, wear and tear items, they can really cost a pretty packet. And, particularly with wear and tear, we know that services are coming up, that they happen at certain intervals, but we don't necessarily know what those services are going to uncover. So, while the service is happening, they'll do, the basics that need to be done, your routine servicing according to, including your parts and labor for oil and brake fluid and spark plugs and those kinds of things. What they may also discover is that, let's say your brake pads have worn out, or, something in the engine's about to give. So, that's where an extended maintenance plan can really help you.
Okay, we're going to take a break, Erica. And when we come back, we continue with the conversation of really delving into the details of the different types of cover for repairing your car. But also we will look at what the industry holds as standards. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702 with your questions when we come back. Great things can happen when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 59 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Play Powerball for an estimated 36 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 23 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together, we've built progress hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government, and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Kickstart your small business with a starter bundle from Nedbank. Enjoy free transactions for 6 months, including free cash deposits and withdrawals and a free debit card with easy digital access and a dedicated banker to guide you along every step of the way. Open a Nedbank starter bundle with SA's best bank for SMEs. Apply on the Money app today. Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSPN credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702.
The car feature.
15 minutes to 3 o'clock in our car feature for today. We are talking about car repair cover and tips and tricks. All of you will definitely need this conversation. Even if you don't have a vehicle yet, it will help you take into consideration what you want to include when you are buying a vehicle. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We're joined by Erica Liebenberg, Just Money spokesperson on motor plans and warranties. Erica, in terms of all of the options of cover we've touched on, what which of these are options that you cannot buy after the fact? Because some of them, it has to be a part of what you do from the beginning. So which of those would you need to make a decision right at the beginning when you're purchasing the car that you can't then later try and solve?
So, for example, original warranties are not going to necessarily apply to a vehicle that it's a little bit older. So, if it's a second-hand vehicle but it's in good nick and you've gone to a dealership, but they will let you know whether any of the original warranty is still in place, because bear in mind, of course, those expire after a set period of time or a certain number of kilometres. If the original warranty is no longer in place, you may be offered the option to buy an extended warranty, and it may be a limited time offer, as you note. It's crucial when you're purchasing a vehicle to find that out and find out what the limitations are, because as you say, if you miss out, if there's a certain period of time and the offer falls away, you need to know that ahead of time. You don't want to box yourself in. So find that out to begin with. If you're, and the caution, of course, is if you're buying, in a private sale, it's not to say that you're not going to be able to still get a vehicle plan, or a motor plan or a maintenance or service plan, but, your extended warranty may not be purchasable. So, it's really important to do your research beforehand, and it also, the crucial thing to bear in mind is how are you going to use that vehicle? So knowing the options that are on offer to you, knowing the limitation on those options, very important, reading the fine print of those options, but also having a think about, am I going to be driving the car every day? Am I going to be driving the vehicle on, gravelly roads that are going to cause a lot of wear and tear? Or, am I a remote worker? I'm only going to drive to work once a week. Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself, because it may not necessarily be the most economical option to get an extended plan if you're never going to use it. Because, that time limitation is going to apply irrespective of kilometres, and, your service plan may run out before you've come anywhere near, you've reached the period of time limitation, you've had to do your services, even though, let's say you've only driven, 20,000 kilometres on a new car, but you barely drive it. You've still got to stick to the service plan year on year. So you might be up to your 45,000 service, according to your service plan, but you've only driven 20,000 kilometres. So there's all of those factors to consider, and especially when you're making a purchase that is additional. So, when you've got your motor plan included or your warranty included, that's a no-brainer. Obviously, you're going to take those options because you're not going to pay additionally for it. But when you need to pay additionally, you've got to really think carefully about what the best option is going to be for you, because it's not necessarily going to be to buy an extended warranty or a service or maintenance plan. You may be better paying out of pocket or self-insuring and putting money aside in a dedicated savings account, because over time that's going to work out more economical for you.
Can you help me understand what self-insurance is and what the difference is between that and just paying out of pocket?
Paying out of pocket it really comes down to the planning aspect, where, paying out of pocket really means you're paying for services and repairs as they crop up. So that gives you a lot of flexibility, but it is going to leave you exposed to unexpected and potentially large expenses. Self-insuring means that you're thinking ahead. You're setting money aside each month in a dedicated savings account to cover future car costs. It does require discipline, but it saves you from paying for plans that you may not fully use. But of course, the caveat with both of those is that if you end up with a large unanticipated expense, let's say you buy a vehicle, you get clearance, and we always recommend, it doesn't matter how you're going to buy that vehicle, make sure you've got DECRA doing a check for you, make sure that the vehicle's cleared, because it's so easy to be saddled with a lemon. And, dealerships would usually include that DECRA certificate for you if it's a private sale. It's still definitely worth getting that vehicle certified. Make sure that it is a fit vehicle, that it's suitable. But even with that clearance, there can be an unanticipated problem that's not recognizable at that time. And then, I want to say 20, 30, 40,000 kilometers down the road, you're sitting with a gearbox failure and it's a massive expense. So, the pay out of pocket and self-insure options are a risk to that extent, because if you're super unlucky and you decide to go for pay out of pocket or self-insure instead of a plan because you know that you're not going to drive the vehicle that often, you could still be super, super unlucky. And 5,000 kilometres down the road, you're sitting with a gearbox problem, for example. So, there are risks attached to those options. So it just comes down to your risk appetite as well, what's being offered to you, what the deadline is on what's being offered to you, and whether you think it's going to be worth it in the long run.
Oh, that is such a difficult decision to make. And I know of people who found themselves in circumstances where they've opted to not continue with their insurance if the car's financed, and obviously they can't get it off of the showroom floor without that insurance, and then find themselves in situations where they're trying to pay off car repairs while paying a car that they can't even use.
Yeah, shocking, horrible. Look, a good rule of thumb is if your vehicle is still in good condition, but you want peace of mind, an extended warranty is worth considering if that's being offered to you. Do check the terms and conditions, make sure you understand the exclusions, and remember that an extended warranty will not cover wear and tear. So bear that in mind. If you drive a lot, you're clocking up high mileage, or you're driving in tough conditions, a service or a maintenance plan can help you budget more predictably, especially when you're clocking up high mileage. Then I think, your services are going to crop up more regularly. You can expect that your vehicle is going to be taking wear and tear, and that's when your service or maintenance plan really comes into play. But again, if you have a solid fund in place, you're self-insuring, or you can call it an emergency fund, and you're disciplined enough to save regularly, because that's the kicker, then self-insuring could be the most flexible and cost-effective route. And if you are going for that option, make sure that you're putting the money in an interest-bearing account, because otherwise the effects of inflation are going to make themselves known, and that money that you're setting aside is not going to be worth what it was when you set it aside. And then for some, just paying out of pocket as needed makes the most sense. And if you're going to go for that option, take a look at when your car is likely to start incurring high repair costs. My husband has a rule of thumb. He always says 200,000 Rand, that's it for him. Once a car's reached that point, he has no risk appetite any further for that vehicle. And while it's still in a really good condition with a clean conscience, you can sell that vehicle. That can be a good option as well. So, you decide, have a look at it. If it's likely to start incurring high repair costs, and it hasn't so far, and it's still got a decent resale value, it might be time to consider trading in or selling that vehicle and going for a vehicle that comes with a warranty or a service plan, or for which you can purchase an extended warranty or service plan.
All right, there's a question on the WhatsApp line, and you can send yours as well, 0727021702, or give us a call, 011-883-0702. The question reads as follows: excuse my ignorance, but if you buy a car cash, does the warranty come included, or is the warranty only for cars that are financed?
No. If the vehicle is new, it will come with a warranty. If you can buy the vehicle for cash, that is absolutely fantastic. The method of purchase is not going to affect whether or not necessarily that you would be offered a product. However, do understand, if a vehicle is being financed, you may be required to cover it. So in other words, you would definitely need insurance if you have a financed vehicle, and there may be other restrictions imposed. But the fact that you are able to pay cash is wonderful. And that does not mean that you wouldn't be extended a warranty or a service and maintenance plan that you otherwise would have been offered if you were paying using financing or another method.
All right, and I think that's such an important question that was asked. So, Erica, final thoughts on this?
Yeah, just know what you're getting. Read the fine print, be informed, and, keep your financial literacy in general up to date, because it can really help you. Insurances are another whole topic that we didn't even touch on, and that's different, from both a motor plan and a warranty, of course. But before you sign on the dotted line, know what you're signing, and have a look at justmoney.co. So there's a lot of articles on there that can help you with your financial literacy. Brush up. Whichever platform that it is that you're using to brush up on your financial literacy, make sure that it's reputable and it does have expert opinion, advice and opinions, and just know what you're doing, because buying a vehicle is a massive responsibility that goes so much beyond the actual purchase price itself.
And I'd even share with everybody the list of questions to ask before you buy a vehicle. So like you would ask is, does it have a motor plan? Does it have the
Absolutely.
warranty? What specifically is covered? What's not covered? I mean, I didn't realize that if you put protective film over your vehicle and it gets into an accident, gets fixed, that's not covered. The film is
unless
not
you've
covered.
Specified.
Yes,
Yeah,
unless you specify, which is just
exactly.
you learn as you go along, and then
Yeah.
also things like transferring the cover if you sell the car, the kilometer or time limits, and all of those things. Erica, thank you so much for your time and just for sharing with us. I am sure we'll be chatting again soon. The website again for us, Erica, justmoney.co.za. Justmoney.co.za is where you can go get all of that information. And don't forget, as much as you don't want to read the fine print, if you're not sure, get somebody to help you before you get yourself locked in with a car you're unable to fix or maintain.
It is said that he finished university when he was 7, and when he turned 10, his parents moved out. He once won a rodeo competition riding an elephant, and he drives a tank. Discover the GWM Tank 300 Turbo Diesel from $8,099 per month. Visit gwm.coza for T's and C's and to book a test drive. Go with more. Go with the new GWM Tank 300 Diesel.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival invites you to 3 unforgettable days deep in the heart and art of jazz. From the 26th to the 28th of September, across 4 enchanting stages at the Sandton Convention Center, where you will be mesmerized by world-renowned stars like Esperanza Spalding, Hakan Bassar Trio, Jasmia Horn, Elaine, Amanda Black, Michelle Ndegotrello, Loe Nechivale, Gabby Mutuba, and over 50 other world-class acts. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
Hi there, I am Amahle, a stem cell donor. What started out as curiosity turned into an opportunity for me to save a life. Naturally, I was taken aback when I was found to be a match for a patient in need. In South Africa, over 4,000 people die of blood cancer each year. I donated stem cells and I was able to give someone else a second chance at life. Register to become a stem cell donor at kmsafrica.org so you too can be a lifesaver.
Relebogile is on X at Relebogile M.
Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons. Do not forget the email address for the show is 702afternoons@702.co.za for all of your topic recommendations on our various features, including the book club. We'll be announcing the book for the month of July quite soon so that all of you can come along with us. And then if you want to catch up on any conversations you have missed, primemediaplus.com or download the Prime Media Plus app from any of your app stores on your phones. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The Eastern Cape flood death toll continues to rise, and US President Donald Trump says he's not happy with Israel. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Officials in the Eastern Cape have warned that the death toll following devastating floods in that region may rise even further. It comes as search and recovery operations continue, with several people still missing. The death toll has risen to 101 today, with more bodies being recovered. The province has confirmed that 94 bodies have been positively identified, while 6 remain unidentified. Mongezi Koko reports from Mthatha.
With 76 fatalities, the OR Tambo district recorded the highest number of flood-related deaths compared to the other flood-affected parts of the province. Overall, the floods claimed the lives of 63 adults and 37 children, including 22 school learners. The Eastern Cape government says it is continuing to offer psychosocial support to families and learners affected by the disaster. Meanwhile, the provincial officials are also working with NGOs and private partners to roll out aid programs in the worst-hit areas. One such intervention in Mnguma is due to start later this week. It is reported that 95% of water supply services have been restored in OR Tambo, but parts of Coffee Bay, Mthatha West and Mhlanga remain without supply. Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Mthatha.
In KwaZulu-Natal, an investigation is underway to determine the cause of a structural collapse which left one person dead today. The incident occurred this morning when construction workers were on site at a shopping mall in Springfield in Durban. It's understood the men were working on scaffolding which then collapsed, leaving 4 others injured. Emergency services were called to the scene where one worker was declared dead. ALS paramedic spokesperson Gareth Jameson.
We can confirm that one person has passed away on scene, a male approximately 40 years of age, and another 4 have sustained